a bookshelf covering one entire wall, and in the center, a wheelchair. Kang Eunji, 71, small, thin, white hair cropped short, sharp dark eyes behind round glasses that sit crooked on her nose. A face that was once commanding and is now compressed, like a voice told to whisper for 3 years. "You're Nigerian." "Yes, ma'am." "Which state?" "Lagos." Before that, Owerri, Imo State. "Igbo?" "Yes, ma'am. I read Chinua Achebe." "Things fall apart. Did you like it?" "I think Okonkwo was a fool, but a brave one." Yoonji's eyebrow rises. "Most people say it's a masterpiece and leave it there." "Most people haven't met foolish, brave men. I grew up surrounded by them." Something happens on Eunji's face, not a smile, the room for a smile. "You'll do." Ruth starts that afternoon. Her grandmother had polio. Ruth has been lifting women who can't walk since age 6, bathing, dressing, feeding, braiding hair, pushing wheelchairs to church. Her grandmother died when Ruth was 22. Last words, "You have strong hands, use them to hold people up." That's why she took this job. Not for the money, because she knows what it means to care for someone the world stopped seeing. Within a week, Ruth and Yoonji find their rhythm. A Korean poetry in the morning. Yoonji reads aloud, her voice becoming the professor's voice again. Adichie in the afternoon. Ruth reads, and Yoonji argues with every sentence. They fight about literature the way 2 women fight who have been waiting their whole lives for someone worth arguing with. "She writes like she's arguing with the reader," Yoonji says about Adichie. "That's because she is arguing." "About what?" "Who gets to tell the story?" Yoonji opens her eyes, looks at Ruth, not employer to employee, reader to reader. The hair braiding starts in week 2. Ruth is combing Yoonji's hair, thin, white, tangled. "I could braid this, small braids, close to the scalp. My grandmother said braids made her feel like a queen. I'm 71. My grandmother was 83. Silence. "Do it." Ruth braids, small cornrows. An hour. When she holds up the mirror, Yoonji touches the rose like she's reading Braille. "I look like a queen." I was going to say ridiculous. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Yoonji laughs, full, real. The sound fills the room like something that's been locked in a closet and finally broke the door down. Ruth hears footsteps in the hallway, someone listening, walking away. The jollof rice starts the following Tuesday. Ruth cooks in the penthouse kitchen after Chef Lim leaves, onions, tomatoes, peppers, scotch bonnets. She brings a bowl to Yoonji. "What is this?" "Jollof rice. It's orange. It's supposed to be. It smells like it's arguing with me." In Nigeria, polite food is bad food. Yoonji eats the whole bowl, first full meal in months. "Tuesdays," Yoonji says. "Tuesdays. Every Tuesday." From then on, but Tuesday is Jollof Rice Day, and in the small space between a Nigerian woman cooking and a Korean professor eating, something is being built that has nothing to do with food. Yoon Sarah arrives at the penthouse every day at 11 a.m. 30. Stunning. She runs a lifestyle brand, Seoul's It Girl. She brings flowers, smiles, posts photos with Yoonji. "My beautiful Eomeonim, my inspiration." Ruth watches. Something is wrong. Real warmth is messy. It stumbles, laughs at the wrong time. Sarah's warmth is choreographed, every gesture landing exactly where it's supposed to. Ruth's grandmother used to say, "When someone is too careful with their kindness, they're hiding the opposite." Day 9. Ruth comes back with afternoon tea. The door is slightly open. Sarah's voice, low, a whisper. "You know he'll put you in a home eventually? When the wedding is done. A nice facility, clean. You'll have your books, but you won't have the view, the garden, your son visiting, because I'll explain to him that the facility has better care, and he'll believe me. He always believes me." Yoonji's voice, small. "Please don't." "Then don't make me. When the new doctor comes, you'll tell him you've been confused, forgetting things. Do you understand?" "Yes." Ruth stands in the hallway, tea tray in her hands, fingers white around the handles. She walks in, normal, smiling. Sarah straightens. The smile returns, instant, but Ruth has heard, and she begins to watch. Day 12. She finds the first bruise while helping Yoonji change. Inside of the upper arm, purple, the shape of 3 fingertips. Wheelchair arms don't leave fingerprints. Yoonji pulls away. I'm clumsy. I bathed my grandmother every day for 16 years. I know the difference between a bump and a grab. The gate closes. Yoonji looks away. It's nothing. Day 14. Ruth comes to Yoonji's room after her laundry shift. The wheelchair is facing the wall. Yoonji is sitting in silence, staring at white paint from 6 inches away. She can't turn the chair herself. Her arms aren't strong enough for the weight. How long have you been like this? I don't know. What time is it? 4 o'clock. Since 11. 5 hours. A 71-year-old woman facing a wall for 5 hours because someone turned her chair and walked away. Ruth grips the handles, turns the chair back to the window. The afternoon light hits Yoonji's face. She blinks, like coming out of a cave. She said I needed to rest. That the light was bothering my eyes. Was it? No. Ruth says nothing. Adjusts the blanket on Yoonji's lap, hands her the book from the side table, opens the curtain wider. The Han River is visible. The light pours in. Yoonji reads. Her hands shake for the first page. By the second, they're steady. By the third, the professor's voice is back, reading aloud, the words filling the room that was silent for 5 hours. Ruth stands by the window, listening. Her jaw is so tight it aches. Day 17. Ruth finds Yoonji's glasses hidden in a bureau drawer. Sarah hid them. Yoonji has been sitting in silence for 2 days, unable to read, unable to see the view, unable to be the professor. Just a woman in a blur. Ruth finds the glasses, cleans the lenses with her apron, kneels beside the wheelchair, places them on Yoonji's face. Gently. The way she used to put her grandmother's reading glasses on after cleaning them with the hem of her dress. Yoonji's eyes focus. The room sharpens. The bookshelf. The window. Ruth's face. Thank you, Yoonji whispers. Her hands shake. That night, Ruth lies in her small room at the end of the service corridor, stares at the ceiling, doesn't cry for herself, cries for the woman down the hall who won't cry for herself. Day 20. 4 p.m. Ruth is in the corridor. She hears a yelp from Yoonji's room, opens the door. Sarah is standing over the wheelchair, Yoonji's hand in her lap, red, swelling. Sarah was standing on Yoonji's fingers with her heel. Oh, Ruth, I was just adjusting Aomionim's blanket. That night, Ruth ices Yoonji's hand, wraps the finger. Why don't you tell him? She'll put me in a home. She's been telling Jahoon for months that I'm confused, forgetting things. She brought a doctor, told him I'm declining. She's building a case to have me declared incompetent. You're the sharpest person I've ever met. It doesn't matter what I am. It matters what she makes him think I am. She's thought of everything, Ruth. She's not smarter. She's meaner. Those are different things. Day 25. Ruth goes to Jahoon. His office, glass walls, a desk the size of her room. She tells him everything. The threats, the hidden glasses, the bruise, the heel on the fingers. He calls Sarah. Sarah arrives. The performance begins. Tears, Instagram photos. I love your mother. Why would this woman lie? Jahoon goes to Yoonji's room. Ruth follows. Sarah follows. Iyama, Ruth says Sarah has been hurting you. Is that true? Yoonji's eyes move to Sarah, standing behind Jahoon, her face full of love and concern, but her eyes, locked on Yoonji, say, the home, the facility, alone. No, the maid is mistaken. Sarah has been very kind to me. Jahoon turns to Ruth. My mother has spoken. She's afraid. If you continue making unfounded accusations, I'll reconsider your position. He leaves. Sarah looks back at Ruth from the doorway. The tears are gone. What's underneath is cold. Ruth stands in Yoonji's room. The old woman stares at her lap. I'm sorry, Ruth. Don't be sorry. Be angry. I'm too tired to be angry. Then I'll be angry for both of us. Ruth sits beside the wheelchair, takes Yoonji's hand, the one with the swollen finger. Don't leave me alone with her, Yoonji whispers. I'm not going anywhere. The weeks pass. Ruth stays. Braids, reads, cooks, argues, holds. Jihoon notices the change, not the abuse, the transformation. He walks past his mother's room one afternoon and hears laughter. He stops. Ruth is braiding Eunji's hair, both arguing about whether Adichie or Shin Kyung-suk is braver. His mother is winning. She looks alive. He hasn't heard that sound in 3 years. He watches for 2 minutes, then walks away. That evening, in the kitchen, my mother laughed today. She laughs every day. She didn't used to. Then she wasn't given enough reasons. What changed? Ruth turns. I braided her hair. I read her books. I made her jollof rice. I argued with her about poetry. I treated her like a human being, not a patient in a wheelchair. I treat her... You treat her like a duty. How are you, Mother? Fine. That's not a conversation. That's an attendance record. Nobody talks to Kang Jihoon like this. CEOs don't. Board members don't. His maid just did. She needs someone who sits with her, Ruth says, who lets her win the argument. She was a professor. She shaped minds, and she's been sitting in that wheelchair for 3 years with no one who treats her like she's still that woman. He says nothing. But that night he goes to his mother's room. Sits. Not for 10 minutes. For an hour. Meanwhile, Sarah notices the change too. Yoonji is stronger, louder, dangerous. A strong Yoonji might speak. Sarah escalates, fires the kind physiotherapist, replaces him with one who reports to her, limits Ruth's shifts, squeezes the bond. Month 4, Thursday, 4:07 p.m. Yoonji finds the professor's voice. I will tell my son what you are. He sat with me last week. He listened. He's seeing me again, and when he sees me clearly, he'll see you clearly. Sarah's voice, cold, flat. No, he won't. The sound, sharp, skin on skin, an open hand hitting a 71-year-old woman's face hard enough to knock her glasses across the room. Ruth opens the door. Frame 1. Sarah standing over the wheelchair, hand still raised, her face showing nothing, the blankness of a woman performing a task. Frame 2. Yoonji in the wheelchair, head turned from the impact, left cheek red, glasses on the marble floor, the left lens cracked, her eyes are open, defiant. Frame 3. The glasses, on the floor, the things she needs to read, to see, to be herself. Ruth looks at the handprint, looks at the glasses, looks at Sarah's blank face. Something detonates, not anger, not bravery, a reflex. The same reflex that made her lift her grandmother every morning. The same reflex that made her ice Yoonji's finger. The reflex of a woman built by her grandmother, by Oweri, by 22 years of pushing a wheelchair to church, to stand between the vulnerable and the world. 3 steps. Her right hand, open palm, not a fist, a correction, the way women hit in Oweri Market when someone disrespects their mother. Her palm connects with Sarah's face. Sarah falls, sideways off the sofa arm, hits the marble, her hair fans out, her dress crumples, her hand goes to her cheek. Ruth stands between the wheelchair and the woman on the floor. Her palm stings. Her career is over. Her visa is over. She doesn't care. Don't touch her again. Behind her, Yoonji looks at Ruth's back with an expression Ruth has never seen from anyone. Someone fought for me. 30 seconds pass. Sarah is on the floor, calculating. Even now, the tears come, on schedule. The door opens. Kang Jihoon walks in. He sees it all. Fiancée on the floor crying. Maid standing. Mother with a handprint. Sarah speaks first. Always first. She hit me, out of nowhere. I was visiting your mother. Ruth says nothing. Stands. Waits. Iyama, what happened? Yoonji's eyes move to Sarah behind Jihoon. The eyes that say, the home, the facility. Say what I told you, but something is different. Today, a woman in a maid's uniform crossed a room and hit the person who hurt her. Not for money, not for power, because Ruth has strong hands and her grandmother told her what they're for. Someone fought for me. The gate opens. She slapped me. 2 words. The quietest earthquake in Seoul. Sarah slapped me. Today. And before today. Yoonji's voice gets stronger with every sentence. The professor returning. She pinches my arms. She stands on my fingers. She takes my glasses. She turns my chair to face the wall. She whispers that she'll put me in a home, that she'll tell you I'm losing my mind. The room is silent. Then, she brought a doctor, told him I'm confused. She's building a case to have me declared mentally incompetent, because the trust, the family trust, transfers to you if I'm declared incompetent. She doesn't want me dead. She wants me erased, on paper. Ji-hoon looks at Sarah. The tears are still there, but the performance is cracking. Yoonji wasn't supposed to speak. In 3 years, she's never spoken. Sarah has no contingency for this. She's confused, Ji-hoon. I told you. My mother just described a 3-year campaign in precise chronological detail. That is not confusion. That is testimony. Get out. You're choosing a maid over me? I'm choosing my mother. I should have chosen her 3 years ago. Sarah leaves, heels clicking on marble, getting quieter. Elevator doors, gone, but not finished. Sarah calls the police at 6:14 p.m. My fiancé's domestic worker assaulted me. Technically true. Ruth did hit her. The law doesn't ask why. Ruth is questioned. Her visa is flagged. Immigration notified. Sarah leaks the story through a friend. Billionaire's violent African maid attacks fiancé. Comments. Deport her. Who does she think she is? The narrative is Sarah's. It always has been. Ruth reads the comments in her small room. Her hands don't shake. Her grandmother heard worse from neighbors who thought a woman in a wheelchair was a punishment from God. Ji-hoon comes to her door. I've hired a lawyer. Why? Because you did what I should have done. I hit your fiancé. You hit the woman torturing my mother. Korean courts might disagree. Korean courts will see the evidence. What evidence? I had cameras installed after the renovation. Every room. They back up to a private server. Sarah didn't know about them. Ruth stares. 4 months of footage? 4 months. Why didn't you check when I told you the first time? He has no answer, because the answer is he didn't want to see. I'm watching now, he says. The quietest thing this loud man has ever said. He watches that night, 6 hours, alone in his office, the screen glowing in the dark room. He sees Sarah hiding the glasses, methodical, opening the bureau drawer, placing them inside, closing it, walking out, leaving a 71-year-old woman in a blur. He sees her turning the wheelchair to face the wall, Yoonji's hands gripping the armrests, trying to turn herself, too weak, giving up, sitting, for hours, facing white paint while the Han River shines behind her. He sees her standing on Eunji's fingers, the yelp, cut short, the smile on Sarah's face, not cruelty, something worse, boredom. She's bored by the old woman's pain. It's routine. He sees the whispered threats, audio clear enough to hear every word. He'll put you in a home. You'll die alone. He'll believe me. He watches his mother's face absorb each word, watches the professor shrink, watches the compression happen in real time. A woman being made smaller, visit by visit, whisper by whisper. And he sees Ruth braiding hair, her fingers gentle and patient, the same braids every week, and Yoonji's face changing from compressed to alive as the cornrows take shape. Ruth finding the hidden glasses, cleaning them with her apron, kneeling beside the wheelchair, placing them on Yoonji's face. Ruth turning the wheelchair from the wall back to the window, and the light hitting Yoonji's face, and the old woman blinking like coming out of a cave. Ruth cooking, jollof rice, the steam rising, Yoonji eating the whole bowl. Ruth holding Yoonji's swollen hand. Ruth sitting beside the wheelchair at night, not speaking, just being there. 2 women in the same room across 4 months, one destroying, one rebuilding. He watches the footage from today last. Sarah's slap, glasses flying. Or Ruth crossing the room, the open palm. Don't touch her again. He watches it 3 times. On the 3rd viewing, he sees something he missed. After the hit, after Sarah falls, Ruth's hand is shaking. Her whole body is shaking. She's terrified, but she doesn't step away from the wheelchair. She plants herself between Yoonji and the woman on the floor, and she doesn't move. Ji-hoon closes the footage, opens the trust documents. The Kang family trust, 51% of Kang Industries held by Yoonji, transferring to Ji-hoon upon her death or legal declaration of incompetence. He pulls Sarah's medical requests, the psychiatric assessment, pre-filled competency forms, a letter to a residential facility, drafted, addressed, waiting for a signature. Then his head of legal finds something else, a filing from 3 years ago. A preliminary trust transfer was initiated 2 weeks before the car accident, through Yoon and Associates. Sarah's family firm. Yes, it was withdrawn 10 days after the accident. 2 weeks before the accident. Someone from Sarah's family filed paperwork to seize the trust. Then the accident happened. The husband died. Yoonji was paralyzed. The filing was withdrawn because the situation changed. Yoonji was now controllable without a court order. Ji-hoon calls his investigator, 3:47 a.m. The car accident, my stepfather, full incident report, vehicle maintenance records. That case was closed. Open it. The report comes back 2 days later. The brake inspection, scheduled for the morning of the accident, was cancelled. By a phone call, from a number registered to Yoon and Associates. The brakes, the filing, the phone call, the timing. Ji-hoon sits with this for a full day. His stepfather, the man who loved his mother, who fixed things and made terrible jokes, died because someone cancelled a brake inspection. He tells Ruth. She goes still. Your mother doesn't know. No. She's blamed herself for 3 years. She told me, I told him we were running late. He didn't call the mechanic because of me. I know. She needs to hear this from you, not from a lawyer, from her son. They tell Yoonji together, by the window, the view of the Han River. Yoonji listens, the professor's face, processing, cataloging, absorbing. Then, the brakes. Someone cancelled the inspection. From Sarah's firm. Yes. He said they felt wrong that morning. He almost called the mechanic. Her voice drops to a whisper. I told him we were running late. It wasn't your fault, Iyama. 3 years. I've carried that for 3 years. It wasn't your fault. She doesn't cry. She goes very still. Then the professor's voice returns, clear, absolute. I want her to know that I know, and I want the world to know. All of it. The press conference. Yoonji insists on being there. In her wheelchair, in her braids, wearing new glasses. Ruth found identical ones within a day. The Kang Industries press room, cameras, reporters. They think they're covering Billionaire addresses Maid scandal. Ji-hoon speaks first. 3 days ago, my domestic worker struck my fiancé. The media reported it as unprovoked assault. I'm here to show you what actually happened. The screens activate. 4 months of footage, 12-minute reel. The reporters watch. The room goes silent. Sarah hiding glasses, turning the wheelchair, standing on fingers. The gasp is audible. The whispered threats subtitled on screen. The psychiatric assessment, the competency forms, the letter to the facility. Then Ruth, braiding hair, making jollof rice, finding glasses, turning the wheelchair back, holding hands in the dark. Then Sarah's slap, glasses flying, Ruth crossing the room, the open palm. Don't touch her again. The room explodes. Cameras flash. Ji-hoon raises his hand. There's more. The trust documents, the filing from 3 years ago, the phone call canceling the brake inspection, the connection to Yoon and Associates. The car accident that killed my stepfather and paralyzed my mother is being reinvestigated. The woman who assaulted my mother, who built a case to have her declared incompetent, whose family firm filed trust documents 2 weeks before a fatal car accident, that woman is Yoon Sarah. Yoonji sits in her wheelchair, center stage, braids, glasses, back straight. My name is Kang Yoonji. I taught Korean literature at Yonsei University for 30 years. I am not confused. I am not declining. I am a woman in a wheelchair who was told to be silent or lose everything. Today I choose to speak. Because a woman from Nigeria, a maid in my son's house, chose to fight for me when I couldn't fight for myself. She looks at Ruth. Side of the room, gray dress, white apron, eyes wet. Ruth Okonkwo hit my abuser, and I wish I'd had the legs to stand up and do it myself. The karma is public. Sarah investigated. Elder abuse, fraud, potential manslaughter, her brand collapses, social media goes dark. Comments flip, protect Ruth. That maid is a hero. Ruth's charges are dropped the same afternoon. 3 weeks later, the penthouse, morning. Ruth braids Yoonji's hair, same pattern, same hands. The reading lamp, new, bright, and is on. The window faces the garden, the wheelchair is in the light, never facing the wall again. You're staying, Yoonji says. Not a question. I'm staying. Not as a maid. I'm not sure what else I am. You're my companion, my reader, my hair braider, my jollof rice chef, my friend. If that's not too sentimental for a woman from Oweri. In Oweri, we're extremely sentimental. We just hide it behind insults. Jihoon offered Ruth a formal position, full-time caregiver, proper salary, visa sponsorship. She accepted on one condition. I answer to your mother, not to you. That seems to be how everything works in this house now, he said. Smart man, slow learner, but smart. That evening, Tuesday, Ruth is in the kitchen, making jollof rice. The smell fills the corridor. Chef Lim has surrendered the kitchen every Tuesday without protest now, a treaty signed in silence. Jihoon walks in, sits at the counter, watches her cook. You changed everything in this house. I made rice and braided hair. Your mother did the rest. You hit my fiancé. Ex-fiancé. You hit my ex-fiancé. For my mother, you almost got deported, you didn't hesitate. I hesitated for 4 months. That's long enough. Silence. He watches her stir the pot. The Scotch bonnet's bubbling, the smell sharp and alive. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Feel something for someone who works in my house without it being wrong. I don't work in your house. I work for your mother. There's a difference. Is there? Your mother thinks so. She told me last